Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CLIU 21 SEL series. My name is Tony Marabito, and I am a staff development facilitator here at the IU. Today, we will be diving into the topic of supporting social emotional learning through esports. If you have any questions or concerns after watching this recording, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. If you would like assistance with some of the tools that I am presenting or have any questions about esports after the presentation, please feel free to email me. I will set up a time to Zoom with you, and I can answer any questions that you might have. Here at the IU, we are very, very excited for this new esports opportunity. We've actually started a monthly networking meeting, so if you would like to be a part of that, please let me know, and I will add you to the invitee list. And I will be more than willing to help you get started and provide any assistance that I can. All right, so let's get started. I provided the bit.ly there down in the bottom left-hand corner, so you can have this presentation if you need to look back and see anything that you would like to use. All right, so here is the agenda for today. We'll start off with esports and first define what esports is. Then we'll go over some of the SEL connection. I'll even throw in some career pathways with that as well. And then I will help you to get started with a club, hopefully then a team, and then tell you a little bit about how the IU is supporting esports and what we can do for you. So let's continue. All right, so what is esports? Esports is semi-new. It's probably over about 10 years or so, and it's becoming very, very popular. I just recently read an article that the only competition that was viewed more than esports this past year was the Super Bowl, and number 2 was the esports championship. So that tells you a little bit about the importance and how big esports has grown. So let me start by defining esports for you. Esports stands for electronic sports. The term is used to describe the sport of competitive video game playing. At the highest levels, esports are usually played on computers, but console-based esports is growing in popularity as well. Console-based esports means Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, things like that, but most are played on a PC. And don't be turned off by the price of these kinds of computers or consoles, because you can play on something as cheap as a Chromebook. So this is really open to everyone. And then lastly, esports can exist as an individual competition or as a team-based competition. We'll get into that kind of terminology in a little bit. All right, so why we need esports in education? I know your mind goes directly to my kids play enough video games, but really there are studies and a bunch of research that have actually been done that shows actually the opposite. So some of the main bullet points I want to point out here is that esports can meet the Castle SEL standards. We will go over that in depth in a little while. Esports can help students build relationships with others that they would not typically know or befriend. It emphasizes inclusion and diversity. There's an increasing need for STEM and computer science skills in the workforce, and esports is a way to get that way, to get those types of skills, and we'll go over career pathways in a little bit. And then it is an avenue to increase student achievement and school inclusivity. Those are just some of the many, many reasons. I'll even go over later some of the scholarships that students can get by playing esports. But before I do that, I just want to play this little intro video that kind of sets the stage for the SEL standards and inclusivity and diversity.
My name is Grover.
Sean. My name is Ian.
I'm Taylor.
My name is Owen, and I am 9.5 years old.
So Owen was born with a rare genetic disorder called Escobar syndrome.
He's had 33 surgeries to date.
I love video games, my friends, my family, and again, video games.
It's his way of interacting with his friends when he can't physically otherwise do it.
What I like about the adaptive controller is now everyone can play. And you can just say, all right, that's that button, that's that button, that's that button. Perfect.
One of the biggest fears early on is, how will Owen be viewed by the other kids? He's not different when he plays.
No matter how your body is or how fast you are, you can play. It's a really good thing to have in this world.
So esports is really unlocking this inclusivity piece in SEL. These students that wouldn't typically be meeting other students are getting to play games with them, strategize with them, communicate with them, and there's just so much power that can come out of esports. Our students are playing video games anyway, so why not make it productive? And that leads me right into some research and some key benefits of esports. So I wanted to share some research from the Varsity Esports Foundation. Before we even get started with some of the statistics, over 3,000 high schools have esports programs right now in the US. It's helped over 80,000 students improve grades, attendance, and classroom engagement. So just a few stats I'd like to share. Esports gamers have a 10% increase in attendance. Students are excited to go to school because they've never been involved in a club before, and now they have a reason to be involved. We'll go over code of conduct a little bit later, but a lot of schools are treating this just like an athletic team. You can't play football or basketball or baseball or any sport without a certain GPA, and schools are doing the same for esports. So playing games or playing video games is helping students increase their attendance and actually showing up to school. More statistics here, gamers show 1.7 GPA growth, and that's also done by the Varsity Esports Foundation. They're seeing growth because they are taking part in school. Another great number here, $20 million in scholarship money is awarded to students annually. I wanted to provide you a link here. This is the scholarship board, and this is just one of many websites. You can see there's more than $2 million available currently, and this is updated on a daily basis. And it shows you the schools there on the left, and you can look through and see what kind of scholarships are being offered. So this is really gaining traction amongst educators and within schools. There are more than 200 colleges that offer varsity esports, and they count as just as a football or basketball team would. 97% of school-age teens already play video games, so why not get them involved in some kind of esport? But I don't want to stress just that high school students are playing esports. It's now trickling down to the middle school and high school levels. There's a high school esports league, and there's a middle school esports league. I was recently in contact with a elementary teacher that started a club to get students excited because their middle school that they will be going to has an esports team. So this goes for students K to 12. Some key benefits here: improvement in academic performance and attendance, engagement and participation. This is a great statistic too. 82% of students who play esports have never participated in an extracurricular activity. So these students are becoming a part of the community, whereas they were not finding something that was really interesting them before having esports. And then lastly, teamwork and camaraderie. Here are a few more statistics that I wanted to share with you. We already went over the 82% of students who play in esports club have never participated before. Almost all teens play. So according to PEW Research Center, fully 99% of boys and 94% of girls play video games. Younger teen boys are the most likely to play games, followed by younger girls and older boys. The one part I want to point out to this, and you'll see when we go over the career paths, is that this isn't just about gaming. There's everything else that comes with a sport, also comes with esports, as far as the marketing goes, the jerseys, the streaming, the recording, the social media aspect of it. There's so many jobs that we'll touch upon too within esports that you can really get a lot of students involved, even if they don't really want to focus on the video game aspect. And then the sense of belonging, I think that's the most important. By harnessing students' passion for games and bringing it into the classroom, gaming concepts improves academic performance, inclusion, and attendance, all equipping school students with the life skills that they'll need to ace college and beyond. So just some more research there to back up some of the facts that I was stating. Here are a few more benefits: promotes student empowerment and self-confidence, builds empathy and improves social behavior, encourages collaboration and problem solving, boosts student motivation, and develops leadership skills, increased communication between students and teachers, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, how students are using Discord and the safe way to use alternate communication methods, foster good sportsmanship by teaching how to learn from failure and defeat, enhances memory capacity and retention of knowledge, friendly competitiveness between schools, expands upon digital literacy, builds student social emotional learning. We'll dive into that very heavily. It gives recognition to students who might otherwise not be recognized for either academic reasons or athletic reasons, and then beneficial for students with attention disorders. And then lastly, boosting strategic thinking and resilience. All right, so the SEL connection. Let's start diving into how esports can really be translated and used as an SEL, social emotional learning factor. So before we dive into the curriculum, I wanted to show you some of the CASEL standards. As I'm sure you know, CASEL stands for Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. And these are just this is just some of the research that NASIF, and if you click on this graphic right here, it'll take you to the NASIF website. NASIF stands for North American Scholastic Esports Federation, and I'll walk you through this website in a moment. But this is just some of the research that they've gathered over the recent years. So social emotional learning through scholastic esports, it's increased cooperation, communication, relationships with peers and adults. It's increased self-management, grit, and perseverance. We often talk about how students might not be able to persevere through a PSSA test or a Keystone exam. And this is proven that the students that are involved in an esports team, this is the growth that they've been able to see here. I'll show you one more graphic before I go into the website. This is a more independent research that students that are involved in these esports teams place a greater value on school engagement, on a sense of belonging, effort, perseverance, team building, empathy, communication, critical thinking skills, mastery. I mean, all of these skills that we like to refer to as soft skills will relate directly when they're trying to find a job in the real world. So let me take a moment here to just show you the North American Scholastic Esports Federation website. It's all about the club here and how it started. There's constantly events that are on here. You do not have to be a competitive team to be in tournaments, to be a part of NASIF. You can just be a club. Throughout this website here, if you click on clubs getting started, it'll walk you through how to find an advisor, how to create your club, and I will do this at the end of the presentation as well. Club eligibility, student eligibility, code of conduct, compliance, everything that you need to get started with your esports club is found on this website. So I just wanted to make sure that I pointed that out to you. All right, so now let's look at the 5 core competencies within CASEL: the self-awareness piece, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. I will be going over the standards, but I just wanted to point out another resource for you. If you click on this image right here, it will take you to the Video Game Clubs of America link that I have attached, and it provides a framework for encouraging social emotional learning through gaming. And the really neat thing about this company, this startup that created this, was that they have aligned everything to the PA standards and the student interpersonal skills and skills for post-secondary success as well. So I just wanted to point that out. There's a resource here for you that kind of goes over every standard and how it is met. So let's kind of dive in to the different pieces of this. So first, the self-awareness piece. So one of the competencies is identifying emotions. Another is establishing accurate self-perception and employ a growth mindset to encourage self-confidence and self-efficacy. So as you can see here, we have the outcomes, develop skills to acknowledge and manage one's emotions, identify how thoughts and emotions affect decision-making and responsible behavior. Then you have your essential question there, and then your skills for post-secondary success. So again, you have all the PA standards underneath self-awareness. We'll continue to go through here. I'll point out a few. Self-management, so managing stress, control impulses, regulate emotions, set and achieve goals, motivate and discipline self. So all of these are also taught in programs like Second Step and different programs that I've seen around at the different school districts, but they're doing all of this through gaming. So identify and evaluate techniques to successfully manage stress. How can you use various strategies to successfully manage stress? Monitoring critical thinking, judgment, and decision making. So as you can see, this is a pretty in-depth overview of the CASEL standards. Next is social awareness. So being able to recognize and the perspective of and empathize with others. Consider and respect diverse backgrounds and cultures. Equity is a huge piece of gaming. There are people of all shapes, colors, sizes that play video games, and this is a way to get them all working and speaking together in a place where they might not normally do so. And then understanding social behavioral norms, so more social awareness there, and the standards that are being met. And then lastly, relationship skills. Communicate clearly and listen intently, cultivate relationships, resist negative influence, negotiate conflict, seek and offer help when needed. And then there's those essential questions that are tied in there. I won't read it all to you, but this is definitely something that I would like you to dive into. And then we have responsible decision making. Consider ethical standards and social norms and safety while making responsible decisions. Use systematic approach to decision making in a variety of situations. Consider the implication of one's decisions for others and reflect on the decisions that are made. All of this is being done through this program that the VGA has created. They walk you through each game and how each game relates to the CASEL competencies that are being addressed. So I will show a short video clip here that kind of ties all of the SEL together. But there was one page on here that I really wanted to point out within that framework that I provided for you, that are 23 teachable moments. I just want to share a few with you. So this is being done at every tournament and at every club meeting for schools that have already started an esports club. So shaking hands before and after the game, introducing yourself by name and shaking hands, setting up games with different cliques and groups to build relationships, how to win and lose gracefully without embarrassing yourself, controlling your voice and volume, making eye contact, discussing how to deal with an online community and playing safe at all times, how to ignore trash talk, not being toxic and ruining everyone's enjoyment just because you've lost or haven't played well, explain how to be a good teammate, know when to take a break, knowing how to encourage, knowing how to start and finish a conversation, communication norms, pros and cons of spending a lot of money on in-game purchases, learning how to balance gaming life and through discussion, how to set goals both in life and in gaming, how to manage stress, how to reflect on your decisions. So there's many different teachable moments that can happen within esports. So I want to show this video, and this will kind of wrap up the SEL portion of this presentation.
Now that you understand how to safely play games online, it's time to look at the social-emotional benefits of gaming. Gaming is a solitary activity which allows students to connect with like-minded pupils and get a sense of belonging, mainly for those who would otherwise opt out of school activities. Some of the key benefits of gaming include improving performance. Esports activities help students develop their ancillary skills, such as fundamental movement, hand-eye coordination, strategic thinking, verbal and nonverbal communication, as proven with research by the National Federation of State High School Associations. Healthy behavior. Gaming is an activity that builds focus and camaraderie among pupils outside the classroom and promotes healthy behavior. Schools can now easily raise the quality of student experience, as esports can also open up possibilities for regional or even national exposure. Self-awareness. Video games are all about personal performance. Avid gamers are known to critically assess, compare, and contrast different virtual environments that they encounter, thus indicating a sense of self-confidence and self-awareness in them. Manage emotions. As a gamer, your student will learn to handle various emotions like stress, impulses, and perseverance, which will definitely help them in all walks of life. Relationship skills. As indicated by Cheryl K. Olson, gaming also promotes social skills through actions such as tip sharing, guiding your partner, and engaging in online team endeavors. Responsible decision making. Gaming is all about building a relationship with your partners and competitors, while also improving their decision-making skills. Problem solving is a critical aspect of any game, and mastering it in a virtual environment will help them make better decisions in similar situations that they encounter in real life. We know keeping up grades while in school, so let's speak about GPAs.
So I'd like to speak briefly on the health and well-being aspect of esports, and this is something else that NASF has put together, and I just want to read one part of this for you. So well-being is far more than just being healthy. Students who are well are confident, satisfied, and have a positive outlook on their lives. They have strong relationships, feel valued, and have a social emotional skills that provide this strength during challenging times. Students who have a high sense of well-being are also more successful in school and on their teams. Studies show that these students have fewer absences and are more focused and have higher achievement in school. So I wanted to provide you another resource. If you were to click on this image here, it will take you to the health and wellness framework. And this framework gives you class and club activities that you can use with your students. There's a whole toolkit here that goes through 10 lessons. It can be taught in one semester. And if you continue to scroll down, it will go through your first toolkit, lesson 1, and this is based on relationships, making connections. So there's a whole workshop there with key terms, and there's a step-by-step approach for the teacher or the club advisor to be able to use. So I wanted to share that with you as well. And this is another link to the health framework. If you were to click on this, I'll kind of share this with you very briefly as well. Getting good in the world of esports requires more than just practice and talent. Successful players know that the choices they make each day can make a play and win a game. The strength of your relationships, the ability to communicate, and even a good night's sleep can make the difference. There's a whole bunch of research out there about the health and well-being of gamers, and they work out just like your normal athletes would. But this flyer, very quickly, gamers, kind of an acrostic poem here for you. Gamers, G stands for growth. Have I accomplished my school and personal responsibilities for the day to ensure continual growth? A, activity. Have I completed any movement and or physical activity prior to the game play? M, mind. Did I get enough rest, relaxation, and sleep to recharge my mind? E, environment. Is my physical environment safe, comfortable, and decluttered for gameplay? R, relationships. Have I nurtured my relationships by connecting to people I love and care about prior to playing this game? And last, sustenance. Have I provided healthy sustenance to my body by eating and drinking enough water prior to playing the game? So if you were to click on this image, it will take you to the health and wellness framework, where you will see what I just referenced prior, this esports ecosystem. And it will go through each of these components. My world first. My world includes becoming aware of the areas of my life where I can control and how that affects my health and well-being. And as you can see, it'll go down. My feelings. My feelings include an awareness and mindfulness of myself and skills relating to emotional intelligence. My future. My future includes understanding my interests, driven life goals, and overall interests to help guide what classes to take, what skills to build, and my participation in other educational or career-focused efforts. And my relationships include feelings listened to and connected to people I respect, value, love, and care about, the quality of my communication with my family, friends, and people in my school. So as you can see, this is a pretty intense framework here, but just a lot of resources out there that most are not familiar with that I wanted to be able to share with you. All right, and then lastly, I know I mentioned career pathways. So I mentioned earlier how students don't necessarily have to love playing video games to be involved in an esports club. This is just a screenshot of all the different careers that can come through the esports world and the jobs that are out there. So we have broadcasting, we have the digital world, we have the administrative world, the business, sales, marketing, communication, information and tech, entertainment, and there's all these branches that go off from there. So if you were to click on the career pathways link, NASEF has come up with career pathways and within their ecosystem of the different types of jobs that are available. So we have strategists here, and we have the courses that can be taken, the content creators and the courses that can be taken. And these courses are already created and you can apply them just by using the free resource that is NASEF. They encourage everyone to use that. They even have jobs posted here that are open currently. They have internships that are posted here that have to deal with the esports world. So I really encourage you to, when you have a chance, to check out these career pathways and kind of dive in and see all the great possibilities that are involved when working with esports. All right, so now you've heard why it's important to have esports and all the different avenues that esports can take a student. So we're ready to get the get started point. So this is a very brief overview, and it seems very simple because it is. Number one, you just want to gauge your student interest. hold a meeting, inviting students, give them about a week notice over the announcements or through an email, or if you want to hold this virtually, that's fine too. And just hold a meeting and choose a game. There are so many games out there that your board might have to approve, or if to eventually become a team, or if you're a club and you want to play something as simple as Mario Kart, just kind of gauge the interest of students. The next step is to find equipment. Most of this equipment and most of the schools that have started esports teams just use their computer lab. If you have access to consoles, that's great too, like a Nintendo, a PlayStation, an Xbox, something like that. But most are just doing this in their computer lab. And now being virtual, a lot of the students are just using their home computer so they can play this from home. As long as you're setting up some kind of network to be able to talk, whether it's through Google Meets or Zoom or a Discord app or something like that, to be able to communicate with your students and get together and really just bring your students together, because it's the whole purpose of starting a club and having these students that wouldn't normally communicate with each other communicate. Secure a faculty mentor. You need one faculty staff member that'd be willing to dedicate their time, and then if it's possible, to make a stipend available for that faculty member. Develop a code of conduct. So there's rules to being in this club. You have to hold a certain GPA as well. Treat it as if it were an athletic sport, such as football, baseball, basketball, things like that. Once you have started all of this, then you can bring it to your board. The numbers are very powerful. So if you have a large number of students that are involved, that they're communicating, showing them data will definitely urge them to create and make this priority within your school. And then lastly, join a league. We have a lot of connections here at the IU, PSEL, the Pennsylvania Esports League. We are connected to as well. We hold monthly networking meetings for the schools in our footprint that already do have an esports club or just are interested in it. So we meet monthly. We can help you get into that. We can help you get a free membership. That's the best part of this, is that it's free. And you can start as a club and then eventually become a team and be able to compete as well. So I provided a link for you. If you click on getting started, it will bring you to this guide to esports. It'll give you a lot of background info. And then there's a large section here of how to start an esports team. And I essentially just summarized that for you within the presentation itself. All right, there's a final thought I want to share from this principle that I found very intriguing. It's a very short video, but I hope you enjoy.
Get off the video games. It's a beautiful day outside. You're wasting your life away on these video games.
How have you come to this point where you are an administrator who at an early stage saw this and went, yes, this is what I need for my student population?
At the time, because this is a mom story, and so at the time it was one of those horrible mom moments, but I'm so glad it happened because first of all, it was a catalyst to getting me involved and me going. And then second of all, it makes a great story. I have a 16-year-old son, a 14-year-old daughter, and then a 7-year-old son. One day, my son had been down in the basement playing video games for, I like to say 5 hours or 10 hours or 50 hours. I have no idea. And he makes fun of me. I go crashing down into the basement and, in my mom tone of voice, I'm like, Christian, get off the video games. It's a beautiful day outside. You're wasting your life away on these video games. And he's a good kid. And he looked up at me and he was like, Mom, if I had been playing my tuba for 3 hours or reading for 5 hours or playing basketball for 5 hours, would you be mad at me? And he said, this is what me and my friends like to do. And this is what we like to do together. And it was at that moment where I really went, I'm not belittling video games. I'm belittling my child. And I had to reconcile that in my mind. And I said, I have to do something to make this okay with not just me, but with moms everywhere, that this is more than just sitting in the basement, wasting the day away.
So a pretty powerful message by this principal, who's also a mom. When it comes to the interest of her children, I mean, the video games are not going away. They're only getting more popular. So why not dive into this and really help kids hone in their skills through video games? So before I leave you, I know I gave you a lot of resources today, but I wanted to leave you with a few more. I hope you have a better understanding of esports, how they can be used in your school. It is not difficult to start an esports club. A lot of the time, the tech is already in your schools, and you just have to, find someone to put it together for you. So there's a ton of information out there, a ton of research. I just pulled some of these resources, and I'll just quickly go over them with you. Number one is this gaming curriculum. This is an approved curriculum by the High School Esports League. It is STEM accredited here, and it's a 90-day semester-long course about gaming. So there's multiple standards that are covered here: gaming appreciation, motor skills, learning concepts. There's a whole table of contents, and this could be taught as a 90-day course. So all of this information is here for you if you're interested, starting with a student survey. So I wanted to provide that resource for you. Next is the Esports Education Network, free online esports courses. I took these myself. They are very valuable. They're very, very short. They're just 10 to 15-minute videos that kind of walk you through esports, their popularity, how they come to be, how they came to be, and you get a free accreditation through this program as well. Next, always questions about funding to help start your club. If you don't have the equipment, there are tons of these kinds of scholarships that are being awarded to schools. So this is just a link to get you started. There's also plenty of Fund Me pages on here specifically for esports and putting them in middle schools and high schools. So there's a lot of information and scholarship opportunity there. Next, esports curricula
I am
video.
ready.
This is by the creators of NASEF. I quickly went over the curriculum there, but I wanted to be able to give you the video that just explains it a little bit more in depth by the actual creators of the curricula for middle schools and high schools. Career pathways I wanted to show you as well. I quickly went over this and showed it to you earlier when I showed you all of the other jobs that are available within esports, but I wanted to give you that link, provide that to you. There's even English language arts curriculum and design courses. So I gave you that link. Here's the English language arts for 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. This is being used. The videos on this is are very, very cool. And they show you how they've been implemented within schools already. We went over career pathways. Community library of lesson plans. This is very, very neat. This is done by teachers across America, and there are different lesson plans based on esports. So you don't necessarily have to just be an esports advisor, but you can pull this into your classroom, and there's just a plethora of teachers here that have come up with different courses or different activities or lesson plans that have to do with esports, and you can involve them in your classroom if you wish. I wanted to provide you with the framework of SEL, which I had mentioned earlier, so you can have that. I provided a video for tips and tricks by the same people that created the curricula on how to start this club in a virtual environment, because I know that's where most of us are right now. And then lastly, my last link is for college scholarships. And I know I mentioned this earlier as well, but there are millions and millions of dollars to be had by high school students who are interested in this. So I hope this helps to clear up some of the stigma around video games and how important that esports can be to your school. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My email is right here. I'd be more than happy to invite you to a Zoom, invite you to our networking meetings, and I hope that this shed a little light on supporting your students through esports with SEL learning. So thank you.